Friday, guys. Let's set ourselves up for the weekend. I heard there's a bit of news today. Trump, tariffs, illegal, non-illegal, bunch of things. Nonetheless, spoken to a lot of the teams this morning. Looks like we're going to see probably a bunch of news volatility that we need to pay attention to. But the good sign is we've spoken a lot around markets coming and hitting these supports. And I am seeing a bounce coming very soon. Now, again, we got a bit of volatility. So again, there might be one little swoop, and I do want to speak about if there's a little swoop a little bit lower. There is a little bit of support sitting lower down, but ultimately, again, I am still incredibly bullish in these areas, and this is where I am building trades. Yesterday, we had the Solana trade. I did go into a bit of profits on the Bitfunded. I want to speak around the next trades I got out. I want to speak around the next trades on my Bitfunded accounts. And I want to speak about what opportunities we're looking for right now. I think Zcash opportunity, I want to speak a lot around that too. I think the news was a little bit too overreacted to, so we need to pay attention to big opportunities. But ultimately, let's prepare ourselves for the weekend. Going into weekly close, we've got a volatile day today, as well as going into weekly close. So I think markets are going to spark up into weekly close. Look to get a nice, strong weekly close to give us a nice, strong week next week. Remember, we are now in this disbelief phase. The next phase we are preparing ourselves for is the hope phase, which means we sit in this pullback for day, 2 days, 3 days, but ultimately, this is where we need to pay attention to build positions. The hard work comes into building your entries, not waiting for the market to pump and then wanting to buy in. So let's go through many altcoins today. Let's get some trade setups going, and let's get prepared for the weekend. So I'm wasting time. Let's go.
I try and help everyone in my space, and this is what I get. I try and fight the devils, but inside I'm just like 𝗦𝗏𝗡. Welcome to Sheldon Show.
Putting my other AirPod in, I was feeling like I was like hearing weird things. Yo, Banter fam, what's happening? It's been a long year, 2026. Like it's felt like it's been a long damn year. It's been 1 week back in the office. It's been a long, crazy year. I'm feeling a little bit tired today, but ultimately happy to be back. Happy to get things going. Remember, set yourself a great foundation to the beginning of the year. Good routines, good people, protect your energy, and just keep learning and staying focused. And you will be rewarded for that hard work. As long as you don't quit and keep going and keep improving, that is how you get to the life that all of you are searching for. Love you guys lots. I always just want to remind you that, to say thank you for those that have been watching for years, that have been supporting. I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you so much for believing, being a part of it all. And I'm excited for our future, and I'm very excited for this year too. I do think it's going to be a reward year. You know, I was speaking to, it's actually so weird. This last 2025, there was 2 times I was my highest net worth, and 2 times I was my lowest net worth in 1 year. Such a weird year, right? 2 times I was my highest net worth, right? 2 times my lowest net worth in 1 damn year. So it was one of those, right? One of those, and those are constructive years. This year will be the reward year. We just got to keep going, keep fighting, and keep pushing through. So let's get going. Yes, Happy New Year's to all of you. Lots of love to all of you. So let's get going through a couple of things. Paying attention to a couple of RSIs. We have the 4-hour that was reset, now starting to lift off. We have the 8-hour sitting at the bottom, and we have the 12-hour also coming into the bottom stages, and we have the daily sitting in the middle. So what we're basically looking at this over here is a temporary bounce is incoming, right? Specifically on the 8-hour and 12-hour charts. And what this means is look for a temporary bounce for the next couple of days. Very much a little bit of a reset after that, and then get ready for the next phase, right? We're basically preparing ourselves for this phase of us going from these areas, which is the disbelief pump, right? And actually getting Bitcoin back up to the areas of close to the 100,000. So the key is not to be chasing here. The key is to be looking at entries over here. And in order to enter the market, you got to give yourself 3 or 4 validations, right? For me, specifically, if I look at high time frame views, right, the weekly is at the bottom. So it's a no-brainer right now. Anything to do with investment, long-term views inside of crypto, I'm very much interested at buying and accumulating at these levels, right? Because high time frame markets are oversold. Then if I look at the next part of my strategy, which is the areas of, and this is why yesterday I built the bots, long-term bots, not the mid-term bots, long-term bots. Anything to do long-term, I'm interested at these levels to accumulate the best in the market, right? Then on the other side, I'm obviously looking at trading this market, okay? There's a couple of ways. This market's been really good at taking money over the last couple of months, so I'm a little bit more protective with the amount of money, you know. Again, I have one rule, don't go zero, right? We've all taken losses, we've all dropped through. December was one of my lowest, I wouldn't say net worth months, right? Of what income to my portfolio, to my trading, to everything, one of the lowest, right? And the important thing is now you've got to go into protection zone. It's like being in a boxing fight, right? We've taken a couple punches now, but it's very important now that I don't take too many more serious punches. I can take one or two little jabs, one or two little hits, but don't get knocked out, right? You get knocked out, that's the important thing. But end of the day, I still got to remember that me just blocking, right, ain't going to get me to win the fight. I still got to knock the opponent out as well and win the fight, right? So I still have to throw punches, okay? But it just means that I need to time the punches a little bit better. I mustn't lose my structure when I'm throwing the punches. And what that means is don't drop your guard when you're opening your punch up. So don't just open up all your risk when you are taking on risk to make more money, right? Ultimately, still keep the guards. And that's where I was looking at the options of, okay, how can I have a lot of money if it goes in my favor, right? But how do I lose a lot less money if this market continues to kind of chop around a little bit and these type of things? And that's when funded accounts, all these different things came into play for me, where I can have just as much money to the upside, okay, but ultimately my downside is a little bit more calculated. But at the end of the day, I have the long-term approach where the market is oversold long-term. Anything to long-term, I'm interested in these areas. The second two is the trading, right? I've now come to an understanding I need to use tools that look after risk a little bit more, but still give me enough power to the upside, okay? But now we look at the data of what do I need to see for my trading, right? And ultimately, if I look at the current market right now, okay, and I look at where we are, and again, we've looked at the emotion cycles, okay, and if this level gets broken, which I spoke is at 94,000, we are very much likely going into the hope stage, right? And I got to keep that in mind. For as long as we stay below 94,000, we are still sitting in disbelief/depression phase, okay? So as a trader, I got to now look at that and say, okay, if we stay in depression phase, what does that mean? It means that pumps come, small pumps at any point come, they don't last long, market comes down and then pumps again, and ultimately pumps up, pumps down, pumps up, pumps down, right? So for as long as we are sitting in depression level, okay, which is the chop, I need to be realistic that when I take a trade, I make some money, get out, right? Be patient, wait for the next entry, get in. So I'm not holding positions for too long. But there needs to be a certain point where my software or my strategy gets adjusted, right? And that's that point for me of the break of this high here, right? Because if we start going into this territory where we start, let's say, pushing up to this area over here, I don't want to be getting in and getting out. Because where do I get back in, right? Because the market's going to basically make a higher time frame move. Okay, so it set me up with this basic play right now to say, okay, as it stands right now, anything that I'm still buying in these type of areas, I mustn't be too afraid to take some sort of profits, but I need to realize that if we do break through here, right, I need to be ready for that, and these entries won't come as often. Okay, that's why yesterday I got the Bitfunder trade. I actually got stopped out, which I spoke to you guys about. There we go. I entered, got stopped out. You can see the arrows, right? Over here, this was me buying in and out, stopped out. And then I caught this pump, got out a little bit early because, again, we're in depression phase. So I will now make some money, get out. And now I'm sitting back in a little bit of profits over here, okay? But not in a current trade. I'm actually looking at this current pullback right now to get ready for my next major entries. Okay, but I need to realize these next entries can be a big one, because from here, if we start pushing in here, I would love to have entries down over here too. Okay, now in order for me to look at that now, I'm starting to build a strategy that previously I would hold a trade for anywhere up to 24 hours and get out, right? So that meant that when it came to time frame wise on charting specifically, the 1 hour was very important for me when it came to the RSI, so when I was fishing for entries. right? Because the 1 hour RSI tells me if I get in over here, okay, this usually takes around 12 hours to 20 hours to get up here. This is the perfect time frame. But now in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, but what happens if we go into this hope phase? Okay, I need to be prepared for that too. So what that means then is I need to adjust to a time frame that also suits that, okay, which is a little bit of the higher time frames, 4 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, right? Something that can maybe keep me in trades for 4 days or so, okay? But again, we are still unknown if it's going to be the hope phase or not, okay? So I take both the information. Entries that I'm looking for right now is I'm looking for 1 hour RSIs at the bottom, and I'm looking for 8 hour, 12 hour RSIs at the bottom. Once I get the entry, both of them are telling me there's some growth to come. We have to break a certain level. We don't break the level, I take profits. We break the level, I hold the trade for a lot longer. Nonetheless, these timeframes, and specifically 4 of the midterm trading timeframes right now, are telling me to look for entries on this pullback and look for these areas. The next thing I look at is the catalyst and at least 3, 4, 5 things to tell me where to buy, right? So again, the first thing is the support trend line. Are we near, have we hit support by the trend line in Bitcoin? Yes, we have. Where's support? Anywhere here from this 88,000 to the 91,000 that I've spoken about. There's the trend. Is there support nearby in these areas? Yes, all these previous highs that were the previous highs, we've made a new high. These are all previous support levels. Are RSIs at the bottom? Yes, right? Now, what's the last thing confirmation that I'm looking for is, have we broken the major trend from the top? No, we have not, but we are hours away from doing so. So again, I told you guys around 2 days back that I see trade entries being ready in 2 days. Just remember, we are now crunching up close to this trend line, and we should see either one more shake, and I'll speak about that in a sec now, okay, but we should see some breakouts in the next 24 hours to the possible upside. What changes that is us losing $88,000, $87,000 Bitcoin price, which means that is where I put my stop losses. Nonetheless, entries are coming very near, and we need to be prepared for it. So on today, the way it kind of stands for me at the moment is I have a couple of plays on Bitcoin. We are not far from the trend, as you can see. So the first one is we push, but the news comes out, we drop with this, and we break. Okay, that's the first play. The second one for me is we break out, we retest, and we go. That tells me that news maybe says bullish, news gets trapped, then we rock it up. Okay, so these are the 2 major plays that I'm looking for here on Bitcoin. Bearish is this. So stops over here or anywhere under here are quite important for me. If that happens, I'm fishing way lower. Again, no one is upset when the market goes lower when we have money. We're upset when it goes down and we lost a bunch of money. We don't have money to capitalize on these lower entries, right? So for me, having stops at protective areas, super, super, super important. Okay, when it comes to altcoins, we're in the zone, guys. Charts are telling me we go up. Charts are definitely telling me we're going up. Right? So the thing when it comes to altcoins, let's zoom in here, is the trend line. So I want to show you guys a nice strong trend to pay attention to here. It's not the major top. It's these 2 tops here. Why are you saying that, Sheldon? More touches is always stronger, right? More touch trend lines. 1, 2, 3 touch trend line telling us hours away. But you don't have to fall into this unless it's the long-term approach. But in the next few hours, when you see whatever volatility happens and we break, that is going to be the entry and the trigger points to your trade positions, right? Trades that I'm really paying attention to. Okay, if we look at ETH, let's go to ETH here. ETH for me is a very nice Bitfunder tool. I've realized with Bitfunder, and just a hint, right, is when I trade more volatile coins, I get smashed pretty quickly because it's about risk. Okay, so I like ETH and SOL. The more larger caps move a little bit slower, way easier to pass challenges than trading the volatile tokens. Okay, so I'm going to be sitting out of the market for the next 4 to 8 hours, and I'll be triggering when we break these trend lines. Here's ETH as well. Put these trends in, guys. When these trends break, this is the opportunity we are paying attention to for entries. right? When it comes to Solana, one token is actually stronger than most of the markets. It broke out yesterday. It broke out. I sold a bit early. I sold over here. It went a lot higher. That's cool. You know, why is it cool? Because it will pull back into where I sold out, right? So as it stands now, it has hit support, but I do think there's a possibility of Sol coming back to the areas of the 135, 136. And again, I don't want to predict that it's going to bounce there. It should bounce there, okay? But ultimately, when we make this next low and push down, there will be a trend line and an execution point. Stop below the point over here, right? So a lot of them, if I look at this here on AVAX, let's see the trend. There's a nice strong trend over there, also a few hours out. Okay, so I'm calling bull, I'm calling pump, but I'm not saying that there won't be a bit of this before. So I don't want to be in that. It's a news day, right? Let the volatility happen. When those trends break, if you missed and all of a sudden there's a green candle, don't chase. Wait for this, wait for this. That is where you are looking to execute and build. Remember, a couple of nice options for you guys. We have bots right now. Here's some specials for you guys. Links below in the description. If you're looking for an exchange, here's Bybits. Okay, got good sign-up bonuses at the moment over here. And remember, there's also Bitfunded, right, with the challenges. From today, right now, if you buy a one-step evaluation, any package, okay, you get a free two-step evaluation at the same value. So if you buy a $1,400 package, you get another $1,400 package free today, right? Only today. Let's go here. In the description, where's Bitfunded? There is Bitfunded over there if you guys are interested. For me, majority, 90% of my trading's on Bitfunded right now, for now, right? I actually want to make some more money on Bitfunded, help load the other accounts up a little bit more, wait for the market to go into that hope stage, and then I'll trade more of my cash. Right now, if I can trade way more than what I got off of least risk, that is 100% what I am doing. So again, it's quite simple today. Know that it's news. Know that we still have space before the trend where the manipulation is going to happen. When the manipulation is done, that is where you want to pounce and go through. For the weekly closes, why I think the market is going to push up, right? Specifically on Bitcoin as well. Okay, is for me, the candle that we are forming is a bullish candle. It looks red over here. Okay, I actually think this candle is going to form nice and strong. Okay, but we are straight into weekly supports here. Weekly RSIs at the bottom, getting ready to exit through the top. Now remember, prices move when we start to exit. So here we sat here for a while, but the moment we started to exit, this oversold territory is when things started to move nice and strong. Right, so I think by the end of the week, we are going to push. And remember, once we get through the highs of 94, the next resistance is at $102,000. Okay, the shorters are arrogant right now. The bear YouTubers are arrogant right now. At some point, they are going to get smashed. So guys, have an absolute great weekend. I will see you guys on Monday. We will be releasing dates on when we're doing the Bitfunded challenge together. We're going to be doing a 7-day Bitfunding pass outside of the shows, outside of everything. Pass a Bitfunded and get a funded account passed and ready to go. We're doing that together as well. I'll release those dates on Monday, as well as a new challenge that we are going to be releasing, which is going to be very cool. Okay, and remember to join Sniper Club as well. Link below in the description. Guys, have a great weekend. Get lost to rest. Spend time with the fam. And don't miss the damn trend line break. Have a great day. Bye-bye.